Yeah, Friday. What's up, everybody? Friday morning. Welcome to today's edition. Daily market commentary. Hope everybody had a great trading day yesterday as we had a day where the markets gave us a little bit of a sell-off, but we've kind of been in this area chopping sideways. And we had a live trade room yesterday. And one of the things that I said yesterday in my live trade room, we were in the middle of the trade room and I kind of stopped and said, I kind of feel like we're just looking at levels that we're forcing things, and it's a good day to walk the dog. It's a good day to go and work on your other projects and whatever it is else that you do. And as you see today's daily market commentary, you'll see why. Because we were looking for bullish areas and opportunities, but none of them were phenomenal levels. And so what we saw yesterday is that in pretty much all of our markets, we came down through a lot of those demand zones. But the good news about those kind of days is that they set us up for opportunities going forward. So we're going to take a look at that today. I think it's a good lesson in when it feels like a day that the market's telling you to take the day down. It's a good opportunity to do so, because we were probably better off in some of those instances. But if you're new to the channel and you've never been here before, do me a favor, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, become a regular subscriber here at the channel. If you are a regular returning visitor, let me know in the comments. This is a good one. Question of the day. Question of the day. Use the comment section. What do you like to do when it's not a good trading day? When the markets are telling you, you know what, today is a day to stay away. I will tell you what I like to do. I love to play golf. That's because when I'm doing that, I don't want to do anything else. It's just me. But all right, let's go ahead and get rolling. So in the ES, today we are down 13 points. We did have a rally off of our demand level here. I mean, we got a little bit lower, but we didn't get below the pivot. So we did get a nice little rally off of our gap fill demand level. But our small little 15-minute zones that we had identified just didn't hold at all. And we had looked at those 15-minute levels. This was one of those ones that we said, it's not a great one, but I did feel that this one down here was a bit better. And we did get about a 2-to-1 move off of there, but nothing amazing, right? So you did get enough to take a little bit of profit off the table if you really wanted to. On both of those, you got a little bit of a rally, but nothing that was substantial that really held. And so now looking at today on the 1-hour time frame, by bouncing off of this exact level, we set up for what could be a good breakdown. Now, the reason that sets up for what could be a good breakdown is because this area of demand was where we had bounced. And what I love about this is that this could be an area that we took a long off of this area here. For a lot of people, took a long off this area here on a Friday afternoon last time. We are coming into a Friday, so understand that if you do decide to take this trade, you are having a Friday holdover on a weekend. From a reversal standpoint, if you want to look at a potential short, I think that our overnight level right here, we've already hit it and moved away. And this pivot right here, if we're able to put in a new swing low below this area here, we might see that this becomes a supply zone. It's not there as of yet because it would need to put in a new swing low to show me that it truly is decent supply. But other than that, I'd have to come up a bit higher to find a decent level in an area. And I just don't see many of those in here at the moment. So I'm going to hold off on that. So I like the breakdown potential right in here. Moving to the Russell market. So moving to our Russell position. Now, we did talk about a potential breakdown in the Russell yesterday. We had this little move below here the day prior, and we'd said, well, we're chopping around. We could get an opportunity right down in here. Unfortunately, we didn't get any prerequisite basing to get us into that position. We did believe that if we were going to go short, the Russell was the market to look at the short. It was the one that made the most sense. Now, in the overnight, we have this area here of potential supply. If you really want to be a little bit more conservative, you could trim it and just take this part here at that 1393 by 1395 region. Now, there are some buying pressure wicks in here that may stave you away from that level, but I think that one may be a place where we see a decent reversal. Not a phenomenal time of day, but I think with our potential for price to continue to come down, this one might be a good opportunity for a short. All right. Next, NASDAQ. Same picture in the NASDAQ that we had in our other markets. we had these areas of demand, and the market actually just came below those demand areas before then rallying up. Now, unlike the other markets, the Nasdaq towards the end of the day did put in a new all-time high and showed some more strength, but our momentum is definitely waning. So the only way that I can take a short on these markets with an all-time high is if we have a breakdown, and there's no real reason to take anything other than a breakdown for a short if that so builds. So don't have any strong levels in here to lean on at the moment for a short opportunity. As far as longs go, you had the reversal off this demand area right here yesterday. So I think you'd be once again looking for another breakout. So breakouts make more sense when you're at these all-time high levels because it allows you to take advantage of these moves and get in at the right time. All right, commodity markets. So take a look at some of our commodity markets. So in the crude oil level, we had a breakdown from our crude oil line. We broke down actually below that level. But unfortunately, like we keep saying, didn't get the basing required to get us an entry. But we did get a retest on a smaller time frame. If you took this little area right here off the 15-minute, I talked to a couple of people yesterday that were able to pick up this short. And if you're still riding that thing, I think now's the time to take your stop and move it to 39.54, as that one worked out pretty well overall. Now, from a 15-minute time perspective, from our 1 hour time perspective, we were on the 15. We have some 15-minute levels of demand below us. Those levels of demand below us, we are coming closer to those. We have confirmation entries set up on this one here. Well, if I go to my 4 hour, my 4 hour is still overall hasn't changed trend direction because I've not put in a new swing low as of yet. A new swing high. So I don't have a change of trend direction, but I still would want to be very cautious on these demand areas down here, as I think price could continue to come back down. We were looking at a potential bull call spread in crude oil, but our stop in there we spoke about yesterday was if you did that just below this pivot in here. So very, very small risk on that position because we didn't get the breakout above this 41. So that's what we were waiting on was the breakout above this 41 area. Stop would have been below this pivot. I still think that as a potential trade, I think it's just holding off on it and waiting for it for now. When I'm looking at this today, you've got your demand areas down here. If I wanted to look into the supply levels a bit higher up in this region, this area is a retest of this area here to the left. And so I'd have to go to that smaller time period and look to see what is the right setup. This was really the better setup as we came back there right after the European market open and are selling down. So I'll come and look for a potential breakdown if that setup occurs. But right now, looking at supply, because that's the way we always want to do, right? When looking at supply, we identify current price, and then we look up and to the left to the origin of a strong drop. Well, as I look up and to the left to the origin of a strong drop, the first one that I come to is this one here, which is not a terrible area, but we're basing in front of the area. If you take a look, right, if I were to use this level here, I would have to say that my opposing level is right there, and that doesn't really even give me a 2-to-1 reward to risk. So I got to go higher. And as I go higher, I could look at this pivot right here. Well, this pivot right here is a retest of this area here to the left. While I think that's a fairly clean area, I don't like to take the trade unless it's the origin of the move. Well, the origin of the move has already been traded into, and it was a terrible time of day that it was created. Still a valid level, but not as clean with high probability. So I could come up to this region here, which is an 830 formed level. If I look at that level there, that hasn't been touched. We did get an okay move away. The only problem with that one is the time of day that it was created. And so we could theoretically wrap our lines around that one as a potential area. But once again, not the best, only because of the time of day that it was set up, right? And so this is how I go, is just level upon level. I just keep moving up. So here's this one is a retest of this area here to the left, and which means that the area here to the left is an area that's already been tested. These upper wicks is a retest of this big candles move up. That's the one that we talked about where a lot of people got in on the short. So then you'd come all the way up to here as your next high probability entry. And that's the one that I'll wrap my lines around here, is that region there. So I think that's actually your better level, is the one way up here. It's just very far away from current price, and who knows when we'll make it back up into that region. So, in your brain, that's how you identify a supply level, as you look at all of the pivots and you qualify or disqualify them as price moves up into those zones. And then as far as demand goes, we do have some demand below us, looking further to the left, off these demand levels. I got a new computer here, so I've got to put the right time frames on there. All right. So looking here to the left on our 15-minute charts, what created these levels, the first one was this little bit of basing right in here before a decent move up. It's not yet been retouched. It's not yet been traded. It's a little bit of a confirmation level because we came close to it once. So we switched it to a confirmation, and now we're basing a bit above it, and so it's a little bit less probable. The other one is down here. It's a drop base rally. I think that one's a bit of a better level than the one above it. All right, moving over to gold. Gold, similar to our equity markets, we had that big move down. It was really just those 2 hours of price movement that caused price to come down, come through our what we thought could be a decent little level. But this level that we looked at yesterday was really an area from a prior trading session, and it was formed at the European market open. So that's typically going to be a level that's going to have some validity. The market went right through it, and we're chopping sideways. So for those of you that are looking at this one today for an area of opportunity, I still think your better level is the demand area down here. It's more extreme. It's further away. As far as supply goes, looking at our supply zone, I don't see a tremendous trade in the supply zone. One thing that we talked about yesterday, although we don't normally draw trend lines, is that you had a really nice, trend line shape, if you will, here. And we were, if you do just kind of draw a trend channel, we were at the upper end of that trend channel before we pulled back. So price, I wouldn't be surprised to see price continue to move higher. If you get a setup that is a breakout setup, I think is going to be best. You could look on the 15-minute time period at one of these areas down in here for a potential small time frame reversal. As our big picture trend hasn't changed, we just pulled back a little bit yesterday. And that's one of the things that I said, is that yesterday was just not a lot of great setups in any markets, especially bonds and currencies. We felt like we were okay, just kind of setting up for some of these trades, and we were not getting a lot of great setups. Speaking of bonds and currencies, we got a pop above our breakout line without getting the basing, but we did get, so it broke above the breakout line without getting the basing, but then we got a retest back to the demand area. So if you don't get basing, then you switch to a confirmation, not a confirmation entry, a retest entry, look for a reversal. And that's exactly what happened here. Price rallied up. So now we're at the top of our range in our bond market, where we had been for months and months and months. We're at the very top of that range. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of a pullback into this area here, which was the close from yesterday. And that close from yesterday would bring us, let me go to the 1 hour. I think the 1 hour is probably a bit better. And that was off that retest. So we could see an area right in here that there's a bit of a retest region. So switching gears over to the currency markets, let's take a look at the Aussie. So the Aussie, we had this little line here. Once again, potential setup, did not get much of a follow through on that breakdown. No basing in here to get us in, and that's why we had this just pop right here, right above. So now looking at our levels, and we didn't really have any levels identified yesterday because none of them really were singing to us. Did have an alert set up there to take a look at it before we got there, but the alert that I had just triggered and told me to probably once again hang out and wait for a better setup. Now we are getting a good potential candle to candle setup here with this particular candlestick being a strong reversal candle. This is going to print here in the next 5 minutes. And so if that prints, I would look for potential of an opportunity if price comes back down. And then you just move your stop to the next candlestick's high. Inside of our euro position, so if we move to our 15-minute chart, we did have this one yesterday. Price came into the level, but it's a 15-minute zone. So knowing our rules on 15-minute levels, when I got into this, we were looking at up here as our opposing zone. So this was actually a pretty good setup. But here's our entry: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles later. What had the market done? It had done nothing. And so that's a great opportunity to take it out. Don't sit there any longer than you have to. We have rallied up pretty hard in the overnight off of the European market open levels. So I think we could continue to get above this region here, but I just don't see any super strong order entry opportunities. You got a little wick over wick level here on a 15-minute chart, and that little wick over wick level there on the 15 might be the best setup if we get a retest back to that area, but it's also very, very small, and your risk is pretty limited. Canadian dollar, we had a same thing in the Canadian dollar that we had in our other markets. We, on this big red candle, we blew right through our demand area. We hit this one, and then 6 candles later had basically been back where we started, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the hourly chart. So we were at our break-even point, and then broke down from there. So in breaking down from there, we are actually close to a decent reversal point as of now. Right in here is a decent reversal point, although the long lower wick we have here is not as clean as we have for the potential reversal in the euro. On our Great British Pound, so the pound we had very similar time of the day. I mean, we identified the demand level off the same time on all these markets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles later, we were at break even, and it told us, okay, this probably isn't going anywhere. And that's really kind of the rule, is that we call that the kiss of death. We call that the kiss of death. Even when we do our trade updates, we look at, what's the kiss of death before a level is basing before the level. I mean, even this morning, we did a trade update this morning, came out at 441 Central, nat gas trade entering zone, but looks like the kiss of death with the market sitting above the zone for several candles. It's kiss of death is the basing before the level. So as the day goes on, we'll update our DMC trades in here as well. But that's what happened in that that area, is that there's basing in front of the level. Same thing with that, as we just talked about nat gas. We've been looking at this nat gas 120-minute level for those of you that were in the live DMC on Wednesday. But this basing right here makes that level totally unusable. The only way you can take it is as a confirmation, and even that is really risky. So when you look at that, 6 candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even if you took it 6 candles later, price had gone nowhere, telling you, okay, I should probably get out. Well, that's what sets up now for the breakdown, right? Sets up now for the breakdown. And I know I don't normally go over natural gas in the DMC, but I think it's good to understand that the rules are going to apply no matter what I'm trading in each of these markets. Now, we did have a Japanese yen set up with a touch and go off of this level that caused this to become a confirmation entry, and it's a confirmation entry because our 4-hour trend was straight up. Let's go to the right trend here. Our 4-hour trend was up, swing high, swing low, swing high. So we broke through there without getting much of an entry on the retest. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that same level in there. I'm going to change the color to yellow, because to me it becomes a confirmation. It becomes a flip level opportunity where old supply often becomes new demand, and we have a little bit of basing in there as well. So I would look in here for a potential reversal going forward. So I know we took a little bit longer today. I wanted to spend some time really kind of going through what is it that we look for. If you guys have any questions, as always, shoot us an email, support@tradersarmy.com. Until next week, everybody have a great, safe trading week. Remember, you're holding over the weekend. You take a little bit more exposure, so just be aware. I will talk to you soon. See ya.